Hey, I thought I would just film a little get to know me introductory sort of video because I just decided to start a YouTube channel and obviously no one knows who I am. So, hi, my name is Emilia O'Connor. Um, I am a university student, so I'm entering my third year next year and I do media and social sciences, so a double degree. I'm majoring in journalism and communications. Journalism is like my main pathway. I plan to be an investigative journalist. That's what I aim to get out of the degree, hopefully at the end. So I also work at like a luxury online flower bouquet business and I do like the operations and marketing. So like a day-to-day there is kind of packaging and customizing orders, assembling bouquets and flowers, and yeah, that's kind of it. So I am going to be working a lot there in January. I just started the job, but I'm pretty much working every single day in January in the lead up to Valentine's Day because that's when obviously the flower business is booming. So we have to do a lot of prep in the lead up to that. So I'm going to be working a lot. And that kind of also prompted me to start documenting my marathon training as well to see how I do balancing work and training as well and seeing how that goes for me. No, I've noticed already that my running has kind of changed since when I started. I started off kind of being solely a morning runner and I would almost always refuse to run in the evening unless it was with somebody or like a group or something. I hated running in the evenings, but now I find myself being like, I'd rather just wake up, get to work, and then the run after work is like sort of a freeing, like relaxing evening activity for me now. And it's kind of nice. So I'm kind of both an evening and morning runner now, which is kind of interesting. But yeah. So outside of school and work, I like bushwalking, and I also like Pilates, which kind of integrates into my marathon training. As you probably would have already seen based off my first two vlogs, I do Pilates as my only sort of form of strength training, as well as my activation exercises before I run, which I haven't really filmed as much yet because I just kind of feel like it's kind of awkward. I'm kind of just like on the floor in my room doing my little activation physio exercises. So they're basically just exercises my physio prescribed me when I used to have sort of little niggles in my hip or my knee or my quads. And now I kind of just integrate them as like my pre-run warm-up activation exercises before I start running. So I mean, I probably should start filming that because that is a really key part of what I do in preparation to run. There is lots that go into it. But yeah, Pilates is my main form of strength training other than the physio because I found that the strength training was just really hard to integrate for me. I don't know if it's because I'm really weak or if I just couldn't get the formula down pat, but I always ended up being super sore and just not recovering really well. There was probably numerous factors all playing into that. I just lost the ball. I used to strength train a lot last year, but then I kind of stopped and then that sort of left me in a bit of in no man's land where I kind of really struggled to return back to strength training, like at the gym, lifting weights and stuff. So I kind of fell off that and I just thought Pilates was more fun and sort of just equally as beneficial, to be honest. I think I've been surviving without strength training and just doing Pilates. So I'm no doctor and no running scientist, but I think I will be fine just with Pilates, hopefully. I haven't gotten injured yet, but yeah, I love bushwalking, Pilates. I also like to read and write, obviously, because my degree is very dominated by reading and writing. So I do that a lot of my free time. I love to journal. I also love to write. I love to write articles for publication sites, mainly student ones because they're the most accessible to me. But I've recently tried to venture out and be published by other sort of publications as well, which is kind of exciting. So yeah, my main hobby and activity that I love doing though is running. So whenever anyone asks me, what is your hobbies, what do you love doing? It's running. I love running. So, a bit about me. Basically, this year I've run 4 half marathons, and so you could say I'm quite the half marathon connoisseur. Well, okay, so this year I've run 4 half marathon races. I've run more half marathons, but I've run 4 half marathon races, and I kind of just want to break it down how those races went for me. The first half marathon I did was a night trail half marathon in Queensland called Burwa at Night, which was basically in the middle of nowhere. It had 530 meters of elevation gain. And to sum it up, I pretty much didn't even look at my finish time because I ran so poorly. I was having stomach issues, my quads were killing me. I literally finished the race and was freaking out to my friend, thinking I'm not going to be able to walk after this. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get home. It was a lot. I obviously my body was very overwhelmed. I mustn't have trained hard enough because it was a very big shock to the system. After that one, I did the Nike After Dark tour, which was so fun. The vibes were immaculate, and it was just so nice to run an all women's race. Everything was just the whole energy of the event was amazing, and the amount of time and effort and sort of creative flair that they put into the promoting it, and also just like putting on such a big event. Like, it wasn't just a race, like it was an experience, which I loved. There was so much going on, so many fun lights, so much fun music, so many fun cheer stations, and like people that were like, it was a very big influencer event as well. There was like so many influencers there, so that was really cool. In saying all of that, how fun the actual event was, I ran really shit. Pretty much I had really bad stomach issues again, and I was having some sort of hip problems while I was running, so I performed poorly, which you can probably see in my race photos. I don't look like the happiest, thriving runner you have ever seen. They definitely wouldn't stick that on like a campaign trying to advertise people to get to run because I don't look like I'm enjoying myself there. And I wasn't. I had a really awful run. I was going pretty well up until probably the 15K mark. And then after that 15K mark, I had to stop and walk. I was thinking, how the hell am I going to get to the finish line? And then I proceeded to feel ill for hours after the event finished. So that was great. I finished in 2 hours and 13 minutes as well. So quicker than my first half marathon, because that one we won't even talk about the time. But yeah, just to get a gist of how not great this half marathon journey started out. However, I did my second trail half marathon. I think it was in July. I did my second trail half marathon. It wasn't as hilly. It was like 300 meters of elevation, so it wasn't as intense as the first one. It was the first half marathon race that I actually really enjoyed. Um, I don't know what it was. I am gonna say I didn't have stomach issues on this one, and it was in the morning. And based off of my calculations, I'm just gonna say it's because it was in the morning and my stomach wasn't like already like weighed down by, all the food I'd eaten throughout the day. I'd only just had breakfast, and everything I'd eaten that morning was in preparation for the run. I have a very down pat race breakfast that my body is very much used to. So I think it was because it was in the morning, my body was feeling fresh, funky, alive. I just had a really fun time running the trail half marathon. It was by 180 cadence, and it was in Parramatta. It was really fun. I had such a good time. It was also a very like well produced event, I feel. However, I did start the race a little bit late because I was waiting in line for the toilets. There was only one toilet available for women. So aside from that sort of technical failure, it was a really well produced event. However, there was only one toilet, so a lot of us girls were still waiting in line when the race started. So I quickly had to use the toilet, and then I had such a surge of adrenaline trying to race to actually start, that I had a really good boost at the start. However, the first part of the race was single file. So the trail was actually single file. You couldn't really it wasn't a very open space. So basically, for the first, I would say 10K of the race, I was kind of stuck trying to weave my way to the front somehow. I said a lot of excuse me's. I said a lot of please, sorry, my bad. Could you just, trying to get around people to get to a pace that was more comfortable for me because I was running slower than I would have liked due to the single file sort of layout of the race. So that kind of sucked. I finished in 2 hours and 11 minutes, so quicker than my last time, but I was obviously disappointed because I knew I could have run faster had I just used the toilet earlier and actually started on time and not gotten stuck at the back. But it was actually a really fun race. And because I got stuck at the back and was going slower at the start, I had some really good negative splits, which was quite satisfying to watch, that I was able to speed up throughout the race instead of burn myself out at the start. So I think that's why it made it so fun because I had saved so much energy. So yeah, it wasn't a very competitive finish, but it was a fun one. So my last half marathon, my most recent one that I've done, was actually in Queenstown, New Zealand, the Queenstown Half Marathon. And if you haven't heard of this one, the marathon has actually been named the most scenic in the world. And I can say the half marathon is not short of that at all. Like, it was jaw-dropping, stunning, gorgeous, amazing, so beautiful. The mountains, the water, the lake, the grass, the air, the atmosphere, it was great. It was freezing. You would think in spring that it wouldn't be as cold. I don't know what it's like in winter. Probably colder. I wouldn't want to be in Queenstown in winter based off of how it felt when I was there in spring, because it was still really chilly. It was also an early morning start, which was really good for me. I think I really benefit from early morning races because the two that I did in the morning, I felt fabulous. So I think I'm just going to denote the first two down to stomach issues that I clearly didn't plan my meals around the race at all that day. But the Queenstown Half Marathon was great. I had made significant improvement in my running and I had been training a lot. I did a half marathon practice run in my training, and that one I finished in an hour and 48 minutes. So as you can tell, I'd shaved a considerable amount of time off my last half marathon, which was 2 hours and 11 minutes. So for the Queenstown Half Marathon, I was expecting to finish in an hour 35 or an hour 30 maybe. That was what the goal was. However, I think I just got so, first of all, it was cold, so my muscles were very constricted at the start. It took me a really long time to warm up. And second of all, I think I was just having too much fun in general with the race. I didn't treat it as a race until the end when I realized I still had so much energy left and I wasn't really running as fast as I could have. So again, I made some really nice negative splits because I started speeding for the last 8K. I just flung myself down the course. It is a very downhill course, so I quite literally just flew for the last 8K and I sped up considerably, but however, it just wasn't, I didn't do it early enough, and I don't think I fueled well enough either. So I think if I had fueled earlier and started running quicker earlier, I would have hit the hour 35, but unfortunately I only finished in an hour 46 because the first half of the race I was completely chilling. I just was enjoying the vibes, the scenes, the landscape, the energy. It just felt like a fun run up until the last 8K when I suddenly realized, oh, I'm actually meant to be trying to get a quick time. Let me just run really fast now and hopefully make up for the first 15K where I was just jogging along. But other than that, I was reasonably happy with the time. I mean, it wasn't anything remarkable. I knew I could have run quicker. I wish I did run quicker, but I had a lot of fun. I had a really good trip. New Zealand is so gorgeous. I want to go and travel all of New Zealand and not just Queenstown because I only saw Queenstown, but it was so beautiful. But it's safe to say I have ran my fair share of half marathons and I am definitely ready for something more challenging. And what is more challenging than a half marathon? Well, a full marathon would be the conclusion that most people would come to. So, not only have I signed myself up for one full marathon, I've signed myself up for two full marathons next year because we're in the theme of doing things in multiples and quadruples, okay? We've done 4 half marathons this year, so obviously we're going to start off with 2 marathons already booked for next year, and who knows how many I'll end up doing. I mean, gosh, it is quite a scary distance, 42.2 kilometers. I can't even fathom running that much, like that distance is insane to me. I haven't run that far before. I don't think I've even gotten close to running that far before. I think the furthest I've run is like 27K, and that was just a trail run. That wasn't really a continuous, hard effort run. So 42.2 kilometers is really daunting and requires a lot of preparation, which is why I've already started training for my first marathon, which is the Canberra Marathon, and that one is in April. So that gives me just a little over 4 months of training for that. And then the second marathon is quite close-ish in time. It's the Gold Coast Marathon, which is in July. And that one I am even more nervous for because not only is it only 3 months after the Canberra one, but I will be representing my university at the Gold Coast Marathon, which is exciting, but also puts like a considerable amount of pressure on me. But I'm kind of keen for the challenge. I'm kind of keen to see how I perform with that added extra pressure because I think what I've noticed so far in these races is that I can't adequately apply the necessary pressure just myself. I think I need like an external factor pushing me to run faster, otherwise I simply just won't. I just am not a competitive enough person by nature to push myself excessively hard when I don't feel like it, or it just doesn't even occur to me to until it's too late, obviously. So I think the Gold Coast Marathon will really be telling. It's a speedy course, it's flat. I've seen some incredible times run on that course by some people, so I'm really excited to see how I do. But with the Canberra Marathon that I'm currently training for, which is what all of these vlogs are going to be building up to, all of this tracking and all of these videos that you're going to see is going to be building up to the Canberra Marathon. And I am quite excited for that, but I hope I run well. I am aiming for a sub 4 hour debut time in the marathon. And I think with the amount of time I've given myself to train, I will find this achievable. I know I can be consistent with training already based off of the numerous times I've already trained for half marathons. Obviously, marathons harder, longer, requires more effort, more consistency for a longer period of time. But I think that's a challenge that I won't find hard. I think I love running so much, and it's something that I've just mentally come to prioritize so much as well. Like to me, it's not just a hobby, but it's something that I will put before probably what an average person would. I think I would put running before a lot of things, just to say. Which, I mean, you can tell me whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But in my head, I'm thinking this is something I love doing, this is something I want to get better at, and this is something that I want to invest all my time and energy into. And that's what I'm going to do. So hopefully nothing gets in the way of that. We'll see throughout these vlogs how I encounter work, uni, life on top of this training. I can already tell it's going to be a bigger challenge than the half marathon training I was doing. But again, I'm kind of excited to see how far I can go and push these limits because overall, I'm really just trying to really build my endurance and build it up. That's probably why I started off trail half marathons because I kind of just want to see how far and how hard I can push myself and what races I can be capable of achieving. I'm done with the half marathons. Yeah, that's 2025 business, but we're on to 2026 business now. What I want to achieve by vlogging this is to keep myself accountable, and reaffirm my goals and reflect on my performance and seeing what works and what doesn't work for me and where I can improve, and being able to look back on that and implement it into my further training. Hopefully it will be productive. It also helps me to improve my video editing skills because I start a marketing internship in February where I'll be doing lots of content creation. So I also just want to be an all-rounded journalist, and video journaling is also a really important component. Visual journaling is also a really important component of just journalism in general, especially in the digital age. With social media being so popular now, it's really important to be able to capture people's attentions and edit and film and create. So that is something I want to lean into more next year. I'm excited for you guys to see what I make for you, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. But this marathon training series will be predominantly just focused on my running, which I will like my training is through the Runner app. So all of the runs that you see me doing are prescribed through the Runner app that I created a plan on, and it knows I'm doing the Canberra Marathon, so it knows exactly the course that I'll be running, so it knows what type of terrain and elevation and things like that I need to be incorporating. But also you can't run without resting and recovering, so you'll be seeing a lot of that as well, probably almost just as much if not more than the running, is how I incorporate cross training, resting, active recovery, basic recovery, stretching, keeping my muscles nice, limber, long, lean, strong. All of the different components that go into the actual running itself will also be documented, and how I run around my work and uni schedule as well, and how I manage to balance that. My time management is admittedly not anything to be proud of. So it will be quite interesting to see how I do with that. But anyways, moving on. I am by no means a professional runner, and I've only been running consistently for the past 2 years. I have a background in cross country. I did it when I was a little kid. My mum mainly taught me all the basics, and my coaches helped me with technique and skills and drills and things like that. So I learned a lot from that, and I think that kind of gave me the passion for trail running because I love bushwalking and I love nature, but my background in cross country kind of gets channeled a lot in trail running. I really like the sort of difficult terrain and the different, it just has a different spicier element to it that I really enjoy. And I feel like it requires a lot more concentration and balance, stability, and like mindfulness. It really requires you to connect and be present, which I really love about trail running, and also just environment as well. I mean, who doesn't love running around a bunch of gorgeous trees in a forest? Like, hello, am I a fairy prancing around in a rainforest? Yes. Yes, I am. I've had my fair share of injuries, nothing serious, thank God, but I've had my fair share of little annoying things that have popped up, and I've taken lots of time to rest, recover, and rehab. So I'm very familiar with all of that. However, this is not intended for educational purposes. I don't want it to be, telling people what to do, how to run, when you should run, why you should run. I don't know. Like, this is purely just for my enjoyment and also for your viewing enjoyment. Hopefully you can take away something useful from the videos and maybe integrate it into your own thing. If you have any tips or recommendations for me, please do not hesitate to provide them. I am so open to constructive criticism and just any sort of ways that I can be better and improve. I would love to hear it. I know there's so many more experienced runners out there than I am. It's such a popular sport, and rightfully so. It's an incredible sport, and I think we can all learn so much from each other by sharing information and sharing our personal ways of doing things. I will leave a list of recommendations of YouTube runners that I watch, because there are so many great ones and I think they deserve all the views because they're so like helpful and also just entertaining and well produced. I'm in awe of like how well some of the videos are made. We'll see where this takes me. And who knows, maybe I might integrate more lifestyle stuff as well if that's something that you could be interested in. I don't know. I would be willing and happy and able to provide whatever anybody wants to see. Just let me know. Yeah, stay tuned for more running content because there's going to be a lot.